RAF STL, the classical station. KNOU HD2 St. Louis. Well, you know, I must have a guest here today, and I am delighted to welcome back Ray Landis of the First Congregational Church of Webster Groves. You have got some really exciting news for us this morning, and so just shout it out there, Ray, and let everybody know what's going on.
Okay. Well, so glad to be back, Kathy.
That's great to have you here. Thank you.
But yes, we do have some really exciting news. Our choir, chancel choir at First Congregational Church, has been invited to sing as part of a choir through the at Lincoln Center in New York, and it's through the Distinguished Concerts International, New York, and we will be doing the New York premiere of Rosephanye Powell's Gospel Trinity.
That is just tremendous. I am so happy for you. We're all so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
How did this all come together?
Well, we back in November, I got a call from Katie Sims at DCI New York. She is a student. She was a student of the Powells, both William Powell and Rosephanye Powell, are professors in the choral department at Auburn University. Mm-hmm. And Katie was a student of those and of them, and she had learned that we had performed another work by Rosephanye Powell last spring called "The Cry of Jeremiah," and we actually had invited Rosephanye to come to St. Louis at that point. She was unable to, but obviously the word got out that we had performed that work, and so Katie, like I said, called us in November, invited us if we wanted to be part of this. They thought that we would be interested in doing another work by Rosephanye Powell. Uh-huh. And she had actually Googled the church and me on the internet and had found a YouTube video of the choir that I had posted, I think back in 2014. I had even forgotten about it. But she had said,
once it's out there,
that would serve as your audition piece. It was, a wonderful recording, and so I was really surprised and delighted about this, and then brought it to the choir, and so I just started moving forward from there. And
that is just tremendous. Now, how many people are going to be going?
There's 10 of us that will be going. Wow. So yeah.
And you're going to be performing. Are you going to be performing with orchestral instruments, or
yes, it'll be a full orchestra. The concert series has an orchestra they work with, and there will be, like I said, it will be several choirs performing together. This work the program is called The Sacred and the Profane, so we are the sacred part. The first half of the concert, the second half will be Carmina Burana,
which is decidedly profane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is just, how long a work is it?
It's about 30 minutes. It's 4 movements, and the first 3 movements, each of the movements is based on one of the members of the Trinity. So the first movement focusing on God, the second movement on Jesus Christ, and the third movement on the Holy Spirit. And then the fourth movement is a Gloria Patri, and brings together the three, and the Trinitarian, and so it's a very exciting piece, very much in the gospel style, a lot of really neat rhythms, and
sort of that wonderful
some
complexity.
Neat text painting that Rosephanye does. And
you brought with you a CD from the performance that you had done of the
Cry of Jeremiah, yeah.
Would you like to maybe set this up? We'll give everybody a little taste of that particular one.
Yes,
and so they can kind of get a feel for her writing, because as we were saying before we went on the air together, she has all this wonderful classical training, but then she also weaves in elements of jazz and African American rhythms.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah. So the cry of Jeremiah actually is a wider, I guess, a more diversity of her style in the piece, from the very classical to the second movement that has a lot of African rhythms and vocalizations in it. The third movement that's very jazz-like, and then the fourth movement that's very much in the gospel style. But it's a very dramatic work that we did last year with interwoven with some story, and we even had a potter that was working throughout the program. But it's based on Jeremiah 20, when Jeremiah is really struggling with his being called by God, and the kind of the persecution that he's experiencing from the message that God's giving him to deliver. So this first movement, the text is not his word like a fire. Shut up in my bones, I am weary. When I hold it, it consumes me. I must declare the word of the Lord. Is not his word like a fire, burning fire? And then there's a middle section which is much more reflective, just some gorgeous harmonies. Goes, if I say, I will not mention him nor speak his name. His word is like a burning fire. I have no peace until I speak. How I am weary, weary of trouble, weary of holding it in. My sorrow consumes me. Bring peace, O Lord, by thine own word. So it's kind of like a prayer, I guess, in that middle section, and then the first section comes back again at the end. And
well, let's give this a listen, because, and this is, would you describe who's singing and playing this now?
Yes, this is our chancel choir at First Congregational Church, which was reinforced by a couple members from the St. Louis Bach Society and the St. Louis in Unison Chorus. And we had a chamber orchestra that
you put together.
Yeah. So.
We are so lucky to have such wonderful players
that
freelance here in St. Louis. Well, we'll listen to a little bit of Jeremiah. All right. Thank you, Ray.
Shut up in my bones, I'm weary. When I hold it,
Fire. Fire indeed. That now, as we were listening to this, we were talking, you mentioned that you had a potter there as well. What was he or she working on as you were doing this?
Well, the potter was working throughout the program, and when the start of the program, we had this veil set up so that the potter was behind this curtain, and we had some lighting that a member of our church helped us set up some lighting so you could see the silhouette of the potter. And then at a certain point in the program, right before the Cry of Jeremiah started, the veil came down, and it was sort of to symbolize that we were stepping back into Jeremiah's time. And there's the chapter before chapter 20 in Jeremiah where God tells Jeremiah to go to the potter's house, and that's when he has the metaphor of God creating us like a potter creating, and God saying, when people have drifted away from me, I've got to break the pot and start over. And so there was a point in the program where we had the potter come forward and drop the pot he was working on. He had a tarp down on the floor, and then he went back and started creating again. New pot. Yeah. So. And at the end of the program, we gave everybody some clay and had them make their own little thumb pot, and so
very
to give them kind of
little,
something to take away to remember.
A little memento. Yeah. That's a great idea. Well, now as you're going to be doing this with the not this particular piece, but the
Gospel Trinity,
Trinity, with the group, and it's called Distinguished Concerts International of New York, and that's the producing organization. Am I correct?
Yes.
And it was founded by Iris Durkee and Jonathan Griffith, and they refer to themselves the leading producer of dynamically charged musical excellence, and the conductor is William Powell. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Well, William Powell, I mentioned, is a professor of choral music, choral activities at Auburn University. He's actually the director of choral activities there.
And Rosephanie's husband.
Yes. So he holds degrees from Alabama State University, Westminster Choir College, and Florida State University. And he directs the chamber choir, concert choir, men's chorus, and gospel choir. And actually, his choir from Auburn University will be performing with us.
Oh,
this
fabulous!
Work. Yeah, so.
That'll be a lot of fun to coordinate and collaborate on that.
But he seems like a fun. I've gotten some emails from him over the past week that he sent out to the choirs, and the last one was last week. I'd asked if I felt that our choir would feel comfortable singing the work from memory. So,
did you?
And I talked to the choir. I thought it was neat doing that now and not at the beginning, because at the beginning I think it would have freaked everybody out. And they think, we got to memorize this. But I think now they really do know more of it by memory than they realize.
It's so rhythmic, and that very often is an aid to memory. It truly is. How have you been preparing your choir for this piece? I mean, I'm sure tempi and all that you've gotten from Dr. Powell, but how long have they been working on it?
Well, we started it in January. Like I said, it was just the end of November that we got the invitation, and then we were getting into Christmas music, so we weren't able to get started on it until January.
Had to get through the Christmas rush.
Yeah. But we actually started on the second movement because it's just a wonderful movement to do on Easter Sunday. So we prepared that for Easter. We did the third movement on Pentecost, the Holy Spirit.
So we have Jesus and the Holy Spirit all taken care of
and
there.
then, the first movement we had been working on throughout, and then in the last month and a half, we've been working on the fourth movement, which actually has some really tricky rhythms. And that one I had to figure out, because the choir, they were listening to recording of it and with the score, but they were saying, man, that fourth movement is just really hard. And I realized, I just have to have them put the music away, and we just started singing. The rhythm, and once you get the feel of the rhythm, it's actually very. It makes a lot of sense, and it's very fun to sing.
Isn't that interesting how there are some pieces you just have to approach that way? You've got to feel it and absorb it, because the the look of it on the page actually interferes with the execution of it, especially when you're talking about jazz rhythms, things like that. People become too literal about it.
Right.
Interesting. Now, as you've been preparing this, I'm sure everybody's just really excited. How many other choirs are going to be joining the Auburn Choir and you?
Well, let me see.
Several others from around the country.
We've got, and of course they have all the participating ensembles listed, but some of those are also for the Carmina Burana. So there's a set of choirs that does Carmina Burana, and then there's a different set of choirs that does the Gospel Trinity. So I think probably about 8 to 10 choirs maybe on each group. Yeah,
that's going to be a big stage full.
Yeah.
Of course, you're at what is commonly referred to still as Avery Fisher Hall, which has recently been renamed and to Lincoln Center's David Geffen Hall. But of course, for those of us who've been around the block a few times, it's Avery Fisher Hall. And this is just really a wonderful thing. Now, the coolest part about this, and one of the reasons we're doing this interview too, is that we St. Louisans can tune in to this because it's going to be live streamed at the Distinguished Concerts International New York, which is DCINY, on their official Facebook page.
Right.
And all you have to do is go to Facebook and just type in DCINY. And there it is, Distinguished Concerts International, New York.
It'll be streamed live, and they said it'll also be archived, so you can listen to it.
Oh, fab.
Yeah, but it'll be this Monday evening, Memorial Day, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so it'll be, what would that be here?
That would be 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock here,
So, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. No, it
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'll write that down, too, because, 7 o'clock Eastern, so 6 o'clock Central. And now, after you have this wonderful performance and everything, are some of you staying a little bit later and staying around for a couple of days to do the shows and all the New York stuff?
Some folks that are going up a little early, and then some of us that are staying a little bit later. But there is a good amount of free time during the weekend as well. There'll be there's a director's meeting on Friday evening, and then Saturday we'll have a half-day rehearsal in the afternoon. Sunday we'll have a morning rehearsal, so about 10, 11 hours of rehearsal over those 2 days. And then Monday that'll be the dress rehearsal in the afternoon in the hall.
Nice.
And then the concert in the evening, and then they have a special gala dinner.
Nice.
Full course dinner for all of us afterwards to really get to know and talk with some of the other performers, and
That sounds wonderful. Now, I also am going to ask that old question about how are you funding this? Because this was certainly not a line item that was budgeted for a year ago.
No, not at all.
So how are you doing that?
Well, the choir has committed to paying a good portion of it on their own, but we have been doing some fundraising throughout the year. We have gotten a few major contributions from members of our congregation.
That's wonderful.
Right now we're actually doing a 50-50 raffle, and that will actually continue through the month of June. So there'll be a drawing. We're having an ice cream social at our church on Sunday, June 27th, or 24th. 24th, nice. I think, is the last Sunday of June. So that's when the drawing will be. So
big drum roll for that one. Yeah, that's going to have an opportunity to really gain some momentum on that 50-50. And if people would like to help support this that are listening right now, what would they do?
Yes, we would love to have people that would be willing to help support this. There's still funds that the choir is hoping to help get offset. So you can either call the church office at 314-962-0475 and just mention the choir New York trip, or also visit our webpage, www.firstchurchwg.org.
Alrighty.
And again, anybody is welcome. You don't have to be a member of the church to be part of that raffle.
Just
and they're
throw your money in the pot and take your chances, huh?
$5 for one, 3 for 10, 6 for 20.
Yeah, I love it. That's my kind of math. Well, Ray Landis, it is such a delight to have you here. Of course, Ray is the organist and the music director at First Congregational Church of Webster Groves and choir director as well. This is such a thrilling opportunity for you and your choir members. And again, that Sacred and Profane concert, including Carmina Burana and this work, the Gospel Trinity.
Right.
And it's going to be at Lincoln Center this Monday, the 28th, which is Memorial Day. That's appropriate.
Yeah.
And it'll be at 7 o'clock New York time, which means 6 o'clock in the evening,
Right.
our time, live streamed on DCINY. That stands for Distinguished Concerts International, New York. So DCINY's official Facebook page. And what a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, we are very excited, and I thank you for helping us spread the word about it and share this with the community.
I am delighted to do so. I found online the Gospel Trinity being sung by a different group at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Newport Beach, California.
Great.
So I thought what I might do is have that queued up, and if the equipment will agree with me, we'll play out on that.
All right.
Does that sound like a possibility here?
Great.
So I'll get this queued up here. And Ray, thank you once again for coming in. There's something
thank you,
always
Kathy.
bubbling and cooking over there at the First Congregational Church of Webster Groves. You all are just really with the fire.
Thank you.
Really, truly a delight to have you here. And
Delight to be
congratulations
here.
again. All right. Let's see if I'll hold my mouth right and see if this is going to work for us. And that was a live performance of the first movement of The Lord is in His Holy Temple. That was the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Newport Beach, California. and it's available on YouTube if you'd like to watch it yourself. That was Rosephanye Powell herself singing the solo there from her first movement from her gospel Trinity. And once again, the Sacred and Profane concert, including this and Carmina Burana at Lincoln Center Monday, coming Monday, May 28th, 7 p.m. New York time, 6 p.m. our time, live streamed on the Distinguished Concerts International Facebook page. And so it's DCINY on their Facebook page. And First Church of Webster Groves is firstchurchwg.org. And what fun to have had Ray in. Now I thought it'd be only appropriate to put on a little piece called New York, New York, in honor of the Webster Groves Choir as they head their way to New York. And this is with John Williams and the Boston Pops.